sort of like the universe was telling me, hey, you should probably be a chef. But on top of that, I was very confused, and I sat down with my grandfather, and he says, the formula is if you can find passion in your service to the people.
Welcome to Latination, celebrating your generation from coast to coast. I'm your host, Humberto Guida, and on today's show, we hang out with a friend of mine, so that means it's a cool person. His name is Chef Jerumel, and he's kind of a celebrity chef. He started a lot of farm-to-table pop-ups. He's also involved in a couple of restaurants up in Topanga, and he's also a private chef for some of the biggest celebrities around. He's a private chef, for instance, for people like Mike Tyson. Now, Chef Jerumel is a proponent of vegan cooking, but he does, if you hire him and you want some butter and eggs, he's gonna go ahead and cook it for you. He also does sushi and stuff like that. What's also cool about Chef Jerumel, aside from the fact that he's an amazing chef, he's also a philosopher and a ufologist. That means he's into UFOs. So it's a story you're only gonna see here. Check it out, my homie, Chef Jerumel.
Hi, my name is Jerumel Laygo, and I'm a private chef. When people ask me what kind of food do I cook, I can't really tell them because it's actually a mesh of all different cultures. To the beginning, how I started, obviously being Spanish Filipino, growing up in a Mexican set neighborhood, I was exposed to those cultural foods. So I started off with flavors as opposed to like good-looking food that you would, consider gourmet. But before that, growing up, I didn't think I was going to be this successful as a chef, to be honest. I worked for Warner Brothers. I did the whole college thing, and then I moved to Warner Brothers for about 4 years. And then I went to Pasadena. I was walking my dog, trying to get her some water, and I went inside this chef school to get some water. And as I'm exiting the school, now I'm enrolled for the spring semester. So it's like sort of like the universe was telling me, hey, you should probably be a chef. But on top of that, I was very confused, and I sat down with my grandfather, and he says, the formula is if you can find passion in your service to the people, you're gonna be all right. So that's what I did. I found my passion in food, and I infused it into finding a better connection with people. I went to chef school with Le Cordon Bleu, which is mostly French techniques. So everything is, bacon fat, lots of butter, lots of salt. So that's pretty much my root basis. And then from then on, I took my externship to Barcelona. So I started cooking in like the mecca of what you would call gastronomy. So you're talking, foams and different caviars and gelatins and stuff like that. So, my base root of cooking is gourmet. But as I started to evolve, I started getting into more healthy foods. Because, gourmet food is beautiful, it looks good, but you eat too much of that stuff, you're gonna pay for it. So if someone goes to a restaurant, most of the time they have a common thing that they order, so they don't really expand their palate or their adventure in food. So I kind of do that for them and set it up. Most of the foods I cook for guests like this, they have no idea where it came from, they can't put a culture behind it, but it's beautifully presented where they're comfortable with going into something new. So for instance, my main dish, which I learned from I took a bunch of sauces from chefs and mentors that I've learned. It's an onion jam, which is a caramelized onions, blown up raisins, dates, and honey blended up. And then I have a raw chimichurri, which is green, garlic, parsley, cilantro. And then on top of that is a corn coconut saffron. Now, if you understand, the colors on the plate really say a lot because people eat with their eyes first. Before, I used to really plate really gourmet and fancy and stuff like that, but if the food is really tasty, they really forget about that stuff. But for me, my food is, to describe it, I would say out of this world. This is Topanga Canyon. This is where it all started. I started La Tabella here. I also opened a restaurant called the Topanga Table. This oven is actually where I had my first dinner, and this table is where I had my first communal dinner. And I would sit around 25 to 30 guests right here and serve them food. around 4 to 5 courses, but the cool thing about LATV, what we do is our 6th course. Our 6th course is a live dessert. So during live dessert, my servers will actually roll a butcher paper from here to there, and the dessert is actually thrown on the table. It looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. So you have syrups and cakes, and it's a beautiful thing. It brings people back to being a kid. When I started LATV, I was in a position where I was either gonna take the next step up at the restaurant I was at or start something new. And being a new father, I saw the time with my kids is more important than, you know, stepping up the ladder in the restaurant industry. So I started my own thing. I call it LATV. It means the table. It started off as a communal dinner with 30 different strangers, 4 courses. It allows me to give people who don't have the opportunity to try gourmet food to eat gourmet food at a reasonable price. And at the same time, the experience is different where I have 30 strangers, so you're thrown into conversation and actually given a space to talk about yourself. In a usual date setting, most of the times these days, they're on their phone and they don't really converse with each other and they take pictures and stuff like that. When you're around strangers who are asking you, how did you guys meet? Well, where are you guys from? Opens up a new environment for you to enjoy food. So for me, it started off with food and then it grew into human experiences. And food was just a tool to uplift that. The whole chef personality fused in with my personal personality. So I was actually finding an outlet to be myself around strangers, and cooking just opened up a dialogue for me to do so. So it's really hard for you to just walk up to a person and start a conversation, but if you hand them a very beautiful meal, they're open to talk about anything. And most of the times people are very appreciative that a chef comes out to talk to them. I worked at restaurants where the chef never even comes out of the kitchen. So for the chef to come out to your table is a privilege. So I saw that, and so I took that, and with my dinners, I try and make it a point to talk to every single one of my guests. That's why I keep it so small. Topanga Table is now Cafe 27 as breakfast and brunch options with the farm-to-table experience. And I'll take you to the kitchen.
How are you, man?
You give a tour to the kitchen.
Sure, come on in.
Here we are, Cafe on 27. Breakfast and lunch, farm-to-table experience, great organic ingredients. This is actually where it all started, and then let me tell you a little bit about life in the kitchen. It takes a certain kind of blood. Not many people can survive in there. It's a room full of metal, knives, and fire, a lot of drama. But, you know, I've found a way to be successful in this field. So let me show you a little bit of my day. So this is, you know, the little front of the house where we get everything ready, and as you can see, it's not as glamorous as it is on the outside. Over here is where all the magic happens. If you can see, it didn't always look like this. It was started off very small, and I'm so surprised how far we've gone. You gotta find your passion in cooking to keep you going, because this environment in here is very, very, very stressful. You're on call, your food is coming out on time, you have a lot of not hungry customers, hangry customers, and that is a level that you don't want to meet. My first job as a chef is really funny because I started off at Cafe Pinot, which is in downtown Los Angeles, right next to the library. And I had no idea how to go into a job interview because I've worked for Warner Brothers in corporate offices all my life. So I actually walked into my interview in a suit. And what people don't know is when you are interviewing for a job, you do something called staging. So you actually work for 1 or 2 days for free. And it was really funny because my chef Kevin Mihan, hired me because I wore a suit and didn't even know I could cook. So it didn't always look like this. We actually started off with just this balcony. My friend Will and Amir actually curated this restaurant very, very beautifully. So we used to have dinners here when I closed the farm, and we used to have private LATVs here. And then recently we just created this space, which is very beautiful because it gets a view of the beautiful Topanga Canyon side. And we usually have live performances here as well, and there's private events that we also host here. Cafe on 27 is a great place to just brunch out with your family. We also have a lot of air coming through here, which is what we don't get in the city. So there's a lot we offer here in this environment, and I'm very blessed to have a space like this to practice my food. There became a huge buzz about Topanga and me being a chef cooking all over Topanga, and I met up with my friend Will, who owns a cafe right here and was planning to revamp it. So what I did with that place, since it was a breakfast lunch place and my travels around the world, I took all my favorite breakfast stuff from around the world, from French toast to breakfast burritos to eggs hollandaise, and basically put the farm-to-table spin on it, and the Topanga Table was born. It's a really cool position that a chef is actually in, because they have absolute freedom. They're at a place of service, but at the same time, they're held at a different level of respect. So most of my private clients where I cook privately, we connect on a different level rather than how he would connect with his mechanic or someone else who would be of service. I'm actually being of service and nurturing them and their family. So the dialogue and the connection between me and them is totally different because there's food involved. That opens up a space for me to be whoever I am. Private chefs are pretty stable, but at the same time, on the other end, I'm on call. So if someone wants like a Christmas dinner or even a Thanksgiving dinner, I'll have to miss that. It's because being an entrepreneur and running your own business, it's not always a daily thing. So you kind of take what comes at you. So as far as being a private chef, that would probably be the only bad thing about it. When I became a chef, that wasn't even any of my intended goals to be a popular chef or be in magazines. It kind of just came about. When you start to delve into that world, you're looking for the next magazine to be in or the next viewer to come review your food. So it takes away from you actually honing your craft. A lot of people are looking at food now as a status symbol, so they take pictures of their food to like sort of upgrade their ego instead of like saying, you know, I just want to go out and try some food. I cook for a lot of high profile clients as well, and the word just kind of spread. I'm a part of a lot of communities as well, as far as like retreat centers and festival communities, so it wasn't really hard for me to get my name out. It kind of just came with the job. I was very fortunate, very fortunate. It used to be I wanted to change the world and be be that chef. But as I gone on through my journey, I learned that if I focus on the smaller circle, that smaller circle gets bigger and the work just goes with it. You know, when I started cooking, it was all very flavorful, but as I look into the ingredients and do more research, these flavorful foods actually have a price to pay in the future. So I started studying Dr. Sebi, vegan treatments, and other diets that would actually help benefit you in the long run. And with a huge following, it was easier for me to introduce vegan food to my circle rather than a stranger saying, hey, you should go vegan. So I found a way to actually make vegan food taste, I don't want to say normal, let's say taste comfortable. Because a lot of people do want to go vegan, but the taste of what they were conditioned to think was flavorful is actually very, very unhealthy. And I've always said this before, that food is medicine. And if you can change the way you eat, you can change your life. So I definitely want to, in this stage of my career, transition into helping people eat healthier. And that goes with educating them. So you can say eat healthy, eat vegan, but they don't know the facts. They don't know that there are a lot of mucus related foods that is actually the #1 cause for disease is mucus. So I teach a lot of my guests about mucus, removing herbs as well. Because other than being a chef, me and my wife also went to Costa Rica for plant medicine school. So we're also medicine people. We work with herbs, we work with barks, and a lot of indigenous rooted medicines that have been forgotten. So I like to infuse that into my foods as well, because if I were not to bring that education to my guests, they probably would never hear about it. As far as spirituality, so when I dig into spirituality and use food as a staple for that, I see it as a self-care system. So before you can even go into spirituality, there's a stage of self-care for you to accept this knowledge and this stage in your life. And in order to get to that stage, you have to eat healthy. It's just a body mechanism. In order for your spirit to be healthy, you have to sort of take care of your bodily functions in attune with your spiritual evolution. So if you're going to evolve in your spirituality, you have to evolve in your human behaviors as well. So you can't be killing animals or eating dead animals and still be a righteous person, because it just, you know, it butts heads. So at this time, I'm still trying to find a way to help people understand that the way they eat has a huge effect on their spiritual progress.
So are you a vegan?
I am vegan.
They were just talking about channeling. They were talking about a book called The Law of the One, and basically how that book came across was through channeling.
So let's go into the other thing that you like to do, which is you host a UFO podcast.
Yes.
And would you call yourself a UFOologist?
Not necessarily. I'm into UFOology, so I've been a part of the UFO community for about 12 years. I've done talks. I have a VR talk show called Aliens and Sushi on AltSpace, Tuesdays at 6:30. And the subject is very broad because it's something that no one really knows about. So you can go two ways. Either you can just totally disbelieve it or open yourself to something new. And the subject, why I'm so attracted to it, is because everyone is attracted to it. If you have the right information and truly believe your truth and share that truth without trying to change theirs, but in a way assist them into finding what they're looking for.
This is a really cool guy that I met earlier this year, Jerumel Laygo, Laygo my ego. I'm sure he's tired of hearing that stupid joke. But we met recently, so I can exhaust my chances. He's an amazing chef. As you've seen his stories, he's also a true seeker, and he's into a lot of things that I'm into, like UFOs and higher dimensions, and something I hope to be someday, which is a good dad. So I met you at our mutual friend Johnny King's annual retreat in Joshua Tree.
That's right.
Where you were the private chef, but you were also one of the people there having fun. And
Exactly.
And I remember when you came in, like the energy kind of like changed, like for the better, like we were partying and having fun, but when you came in, it was just like this, like fatherly and motherly energy that you have for us, taking care of us, cooking the most amazing food nonstop. And then we were talking about UFOs and different things. You, myself, and our friend Mark, we were having a great conversation. What is this? Why do you feel so compelled to connect with people? Because sometimes I want to connect with people, sometimes I want to isolate, man. Do you ever have that where you want to isolate?
Yes, absolutely. But I don't know, I really feel like my time on this earth cannot be wasted. I feel like I have to connect with as many people as I can and be of service. So if I'm not of service, I really don't feel alive, and people make me feel that. So I like to go in, meet new people, and actually make a prominent moment to be weird to those people so that I stand out in their life timeline.
I think that you had me at UFO when I first met you.
Yeah.
We just jumped into it. Like we were like talking about like what you were gonna be cooking, and then it just went to like tattoos, and then we were talking about UFOs. So UFOs and sushi.
Aliens and Sushi.
Sorry, Aliens and Sushi. Aliens and Sushi is your
Aliens
podcast.
and Sushi is my podcast.
And you're kind of like bringing the two worlds together. You're calling your involvement with food. So I kind of asked you this in the Latination interview that we did. Do you think that the disclosure that's happening now has validated you with people who probably dismissed you? They probably took you seriously as a chef, but then when you started on the UFO stuff, they kind of rolled their eyes, whether they did it literally in your face or like when you weren't looking, or just like figuratively. Now that all this stuff is coming out, are you kind of being like, I told you so, or are you just kind of like leaving it alone? How have you handled this disclosure?
You know, if I were 12 years ago and I was spitting this information, I would probably be like, I told you so. But I'm at a space right now where if they came at me and said, oh my God, you were telling the truth this whole time, I'd probably respond with, how can I help you further your research? Rather than become at them like, I told you so. Wasn't I right? I was right. I was right. I'm not that guy.
Nice. Now, hold on, you're saying 12 years ago, so were you that guy once upon a time, maybe?
Oh yeah.
The evolution.
In my beginning stages, dude, I didn't know how to come at people, so I was very forceful. Like I said, I was like trying to force my truth onto other people, but as I grew up, I noticed that truth is singular, and every version of your truth is a mistruth. So it's very important that you are very strong in your own truth, that way you can share it. What I've always learned too, you know, there was a stage in my life where I'm like, oh man, catch up, like, you know, get woke. But what I've also accepted is that everyone in the world is functioning at their very best, at their level of consciousness. So they are actually doing their best, they just haven't reached that level yet. So we have to have some sort of sympathy for them. Not sympathy, but patience.
Patience.
Mm-hmm.
Tell that to some of your vegan friends. All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of Latination. I hope you enjoyed my friend, Chef Jerumel. He is a very unique and special human being. I hope you learned a little bit about cuisine, vegan food, and even UFOs. If you want to find out more, you can check out Latination on LATV.com, and you can hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can follow me at Check It Out on Instagram. Till next time, peace.